Greetings, Earthlings. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to Elevate Consciousness. Today I'm going to decode the movie Suicide Squad. They're called the Suicide Squad literally because they go on an extremely dangerous mission where they are not expected to survive. And symbolically they're called the Suicide Squad because they are a group of people who have a history of trauma and deep down they wish to commit suicide and die. They're not necessarily evil, but they are damaged people who are spreading the darkness within them. Because they secretly have a death wish, their symbol is the skull. Deep down, they don't love themselves. And in this film, they have reached that rock bottom point where they are ready to start going back toward the light. First though, they must repay their karmic debt, as symbolized by their incarceration and forced missions. Light represents the life force and love. Dark represents death and the lack of love. Batman is that soul who has mastered the darkness within himself and now is the guide for others back to the light, like some kind of dark angel. The essence of this movie is a group of traumatized souls going on a spiritual journey. There are many references to spiritual themes throughout the film. This is also because in the DC universe, the superheroes more closely resemble gods.
Because that's what God is. Horus, Apollo, Jehovah, Kal-El.
This is a world where Superman has died like Christ, later to be resurrected in Justice League. We see Joker's henchman dressed as a goat, symbol of the devil. Monster T has demonic horn tattoos and a cross, as well as a third eye, symbol of spirituality, though here turned evil. There are many references to spiritual themes of good and evil throughout the film.
This shit is gonna be like a chapter in the Bible.
Deadshot's collar says, "I am the light, the way," indicating that not only does he believe in Christ, but he himself has the destiny to embody the light and energy of Christ. That would mean a sacrifice for love, which he ultimately does for his daughter. Around his neck he bears a golden cross. To understand the motivation in each of these characters, one only need to look at the character's relation to love. William Faulkner said, "The only thing worth writing about is the human heart at conflict with itself." Deadshot claims to be heartless and cold, but in fact does everything, including surrendering, out of love for his daughter. As a character, I suspect he did not have loving parents and grew up on the streets. Him loving his daughter is a way to heal his own inner child. In addition, it's no coincidence that this believer in Christ begins his journey back toward the light on Christmas, the celebration of the birth of Christ. Deep down, he's a good soul that incarnated into a chaotic and unloving childhood. Like the story of the prodigal son, though we may stray, we can always go back to the light and be accepted again into the spiritual Father's arms. Harley Quinn likely didn't have a loving father either, or she had an abusive one, as indicated by her attraction to a person as toxic and unhealthy as the Joker. The Joker and Harley's clown and poker card motif symbolize unbridled chaos and the randomness of the playing cards. The card symbols represent seeing life as a game to play and a high-risk gamble. Seeing life as a game to gamble with, as Joker and Harley do, is a result of deep unhappiness and not wanting to live. Thus, they do not cherish life until they are able to get back on the path of healing. The distortions we see from time to time represent the body releasing waves of adrenaline and cortisol as a result of the fight or flight response. These biochemicals can become addictive in an unhealthy way, leading to a life of fear and aggression. Harley Quinn is also a psychologist. In the bar scene, she is teaching the squad to face their inner trauma and their past sins. One must be brave and face their own inner darkness. To get through the dark, you must accept it first. Diablo's name means devil, and the number 7 is tattooed on his head. 7 is a spiritual number referring to many things, both positive and negative, such as the 7 virtues and the 7 sins. Diablo has committed the worst sins of all, but at least he realized how wrong it was. So much so that he decides to change and become a man of peace, eventually sacrificing his own life to save the squad. Interestingly, his true self seemed to be some kind of Mesoamerican fire deity, so his character arc is one of going from devil to God. Katana lashes out from grief over her husband's murder, literally and metaphorically motivated by her husband's spirit in the sword. She wears the mask to hide her broken soul. Killer Croc is a traumatized person who has been mistreated due to his perceived physical differences, which could mean a medical condition or as a result of other kinds of prejudice. He also represents the inhumane way we treat convicts, which only makes them worse, an inhumanity that eventually seeps out and spreads to society. Treat people like monsters, and they will become monsters. This is something we can learn from the Carl Panzram documentary, The Spirit of Hatred and Vengeance. Enchantress is a woman possessed by a demon and the spirit of evil and death. Every group, even a dark one, has its shaman, and Enchantress is the shaman turned evil. Captain Boomerang represents the idea of karma in general, and he is another abused child, indicated by his obsession with pink unicorns. Another person referred to as a devil, Amanda Waller, is the most actually evil, considering her ability to be completely unempathetic and cold. In all fairness, though, she is attempting to do her job of protecting the people in America. In doing so, however, with her morally questionable ways, she is the one who causes the crisis in the first place. Interestingly, Rick Flag, the supposed good guy, seems relatively unconcerned when presented with the evidence that the monsters may be normal people. When Enchantress shows the Suicide Squad their heart's desires, they all yearn for a normal, happy life with their loved ones, proving deep down they are good people.
The only way for us to be together is if you don't pull the trigger. Daddy, I love you.
Enchantress represents darkness and hate, and is finally overcome when Deadshot shoots her with the bullet from the love chamber of Harley's gun. Because love is the key to saving the world and saving ourselves. No matter how far one goes towards the dark, they can always turn back to the light. Like the prodigal son, once you change paths, once you walk back towards the light, there is acceptance and forgiveness. In fact, the whole multiverse celebrates your return. I hope y'all enjoyed that. If you did like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. And remember, elevate consciousness constantly.